in his presentations, where the right skill set is built into our people at the very early stage. And they come into the industry to begin to provide, their own contributions to growth. I think Ghana itself, we have come a long way. If we're able to deal with the capital issues, deal with the human issues, and deal with the infrastructural issues. Infrastructure is still a problem if we have to grow. It's been said that over 107% of our budget is on recurrent expenditure. We need to find ways to invest in capital expenditure. We need to build railways. We need to build roads. We need to provide that environment for the private sector to grow. Once we provide the right infrastructure, the right environment, the private sector will come in, and the industries will grow across, not only in agriculture, but even in the much more industrialized aspects of the economy. So I think the future is good. It's for us to be beyond this talk, look at how we can take the points we can execute, and once properly executed, and gladly we have people from the government that are here. Once properly executed, I think we are looking forward to a very prosperous and a future that is good for Ghana.
Oh, well, I am quite optimistic as you are. You mentioned, and quite rightly so, that there's been quite a lot of volatility in terms of commodity prices for some time now. And just when we thought that oil was going to recover, it started slipping back down again. But does that provide us some kind of an opportunity, looking at the broad theme for this summit, that the digital economy probably could provide us a chance to leapfrog and shield ourselves from some of these shocks? And at this juncture, I would like any one of you to start if you have thoughts on this.
Well, you raised a very crucial topic that my brother Kwatin elaborated on, and that is fighting inflation and also the mechanism you use in doing that, which also affects the cost of credit. Now, you use monetary and fiscal policy to garner and meander through this process of development. Now, Bank of Ghana has the constitutional responsibility to control inflation, and rightly so, because inflation can eat up the wealth of a nation and of people's incomes, especially people who are on retirement. However, if you use the monetary policy by reducing the supply of money, which then reduces the ability to buy, the demand, and therefore prices will come down. That same process you're using also goes to affect the cost of credit. And Senior Minister, I really want your attention here, because I think it's very, very crucial in finding a way to bring the cost of credit down and moving this economy. Credit is critical in development. Without credit, we won't get anywhere. And a part of the reason why our economy is a standstill is because this same private sector that we are relying on to be the engine of growth, to move the economy, relies on the availability and cheap credit to do what they have to do. Now, if the cost of credit is high, businesses cannot borrow. And if businesses cannot borrow, then they cannot expand to hire people. And it limits even our capacity to produce to satisfy domestic consumption, much less export into the international market. So this is an issue that I want Honorable Osafo to really zoom in on this to get it right. Now, if you look at the history of other nations, what did they do with the cost of credit and inflation? South Korea ran inflation up to the 20s, the 20%. Because if you can give credit for businesses to grow and therefore produce more, inflation is about supply and demand. If you don't have enough quantity, and then the prices will go up. So what you have to do is look at the supply side of the economy. And by looking at the supply side of the economy, you must understand and appreciate the resources that the supply side needs to make it work. And one of the key ingredients in there is credit. So I'm saying that the government needs to look at how to balance inflation and interest, the cost of credit. I would think that we can give up a bit on inflation and let the cost of credit come down so that we can move the economy and produce more. And as we produce more, to feed back into the economy and bring down inflation. Because if we keep fighting inflation, we keep saying that we need to fight inflation. Everything we're doing is, if you don't do that, our economy is not mature enough to use market forces to determine the direction that the economy must go. So I keep saying that, what did other nations do when they had the same predicament that we are in? And the records are clear. It's abundant. Without bringing interest rate down, we cannot expand. On the digital economy, if I may take my turn here, I think it is important for us to be step function. Otherwise, we get confused and it will become like the 6 blind men describing the elephant. We need to do first things first. We need to build strength in our domestic economy. I've said elsewhere that Ghana doesn't have an economy in the true sense of it because we are import dependent. And therefore, yes, we can look at other areas and other things, but the important thing facing this nation is to build a strong domestic economy. And that is where I am fascinated with this one district, one factory concept, because it tails in into the beginnings of building a domestic economy. What resources do you have to do it with? Our people, the Ministry of Food and Agriculture has mapped out the whole area of Ghana. We know where tomatoes can grow. We know where palm oil can grow. We know where fruits and vegetables. We know all these things. And therefore, a regional development approach, broken down to the districts, emphasizing in creating strength for the people who live there to grow the products that the soil conditions and the weather conditions allow them to do, and putting a factory there so that the things that they grow do not perish, and getting into manufacturing. Through manufacturing, we create higher values for the perishable goods. You put pineapple, oranges, you process them in the factory and you can them. Now they will not perish. They are portable, they are exportable, they are higher value. Your margins are higher, so now you can pay your workers better wages and lift up the incomes of the people.
Good. Thank you. Natalia, you wanted to add something?
Very much, and I fully agree that access to finance and affordable financing is very important for private businesses. So, well, one good news, unless you have seen it already, the Bank of Ghana has reduced the policy interest rate by 100 basis points today. And actually, this year, the Bank of Ghana has already reduced its monetary policy rate by 300 basis points, which hopefully would reduce the cost of credit. The other point that I would like to make is that with the budget deficit and high debt to GDP ratio, government needs a lot of financing, a lot of borrowing. And it has been borrowing both domestically and externally. And this also adds to the cost of borrowing. So if this year the budget deficit is reduced to 6.5% of GDP, and the debt to GDP ratio is stabilized, it would also help reduce the cost of borrowing for private sector. One more point, and it is an important point. You have probably seen lately several reports in the media about some weak banks and some weaknesses in microfinance companies. It also adds to the cost of borrowing. So the Bank of Ghana now is taking measures which would help address these weaknesses, and once it's done, we hope that the financial sector will be strong, it will be growing, and it would also add to the growth of this economy. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Oro, you mentioned earlier that for you, capital, human capital, and actual fiscal capital into business and infrastructure. Now, Mr. Kwarteng's office would rely on everyone paying taxes so that they can have the money to build the requisite infrastructure to help all the food that is produced to reach its market. How do you foresee the banking sector or the banks using technology to help government widen the tax net?
Before I go there, we talked about creating credit and the fact that we need to look at interest rate to create an environment where credit is easily created. I think another issue probably government need to focus on is probably the energy debts, the systemic debts we have around the energy sector. So much of funds is tied down with banks or with the energy sector companies which could be made available if government pays those debts to further give credit to the economy. So the earlier that is sorted out, the more we're going to have more funding and credit available in the economy. Now, in terms of what form of innovations that the banks can make available for efficient collection of taxes, today within the system we have GIPS, and a lot of banks also have automated systems. In Zenith, for instance, we have the Global Pay. With the Global Pay, it's a very robust, integrated platform where government and its agencies can assess revenues from the marketplace efficiently. It's all about how efficient you can collect money. So some of these products are available by the banks. We have them as Zenith, and a couple of banks also have these products. We talked about the eGov. A couple of banks have come together to partner with government on developing efficient collection platforms. Zenith Bank is one of them. So the platform is there. It's just left for those who run the public sector to take advantage of these platforms to enhance the collection of their taxes. I think it's just a matter of will, not so much a matter of availability. The technology is there, but we need the public sector to draw from it and take advantage of it.
Okay. Now, we'll entreat everyone to share their questions. If you have a question or a contribution via the hashtag Ghana CEO Summit. We're just about wrapping up. But before then, I'd like to get your thoughts on, this is from government's perspective, why have we consistently been unable to mechanize agriculture, for example, and also deploy technology? As Mr. Oro is saying, the will to do it is what's required. The technology is available.
Well, that would be a process. That would be something you do and you improve. And I think we, as a country, we have been doing, as far as I can remember, we have always had this as part of the management of the agric sector, that you want more mechanization, you want... agric, I've always thought that probably one of the biggest issues there is the availability of credit and also the interest of investors into the supporting services of agric. And we have not been that successful, but maybe going forward, it's one area that the private sector would want to look at. But understandably, because of the risk there, when you have spoken with investors, is an area they will move to with caution. Why have we not succeeded? Perhaps the question is, what should we be doing so that going forward we can succeed? We can always brood over why we have not gotten here. And the answers are always not immediately available, except to say that the thing that we ought to do, let's have the discipline and the courage to do them.
Okay. Just 30 seconds each. Your critical success factor in seeing technology play a key role in turning around the growth path for this economy.
Thank you. I think that, like Watson said, it's a question of leadership. Government is providing that leadership, and our approach to development is integrated. Agric, we said, and just in the last 2-3 weeks, we've spent about 500 million trying to encourage food, planting for food and jobs. Agric education now, basic education is now from primary school to senior level. It's to create the critical mass to get the people educated so that they can handle the economy. The district enterprise business, one factory, is supposed to improve the district business so that people in the district can be able to have access to jobs. So we as a government want to have an integrated development system where we provide the leadership and encourage the private sector to come in and grow. So next week there will be a forum for district one factory, and I want to encourage the private sector to participate, because hopefully by July, August, we'll roll out this program. And that program is meant to develop and really change the rural sector and improve the rural economy. So I want to take the opportunity to urge everybody that one district, one factory, or rural enterprise and business is meant to create jobs. We intend to create millions and millions of jobs, but I can only do that with private sector support. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much. My opinion, the digital economy is on us. It's upon us right now. So we just ought to take advantage of it as it is here with us. In government, for example, one of the speakers had indicated that we can actually eliminate the human intervention, and human intervention sometimes bring about corruption and things like that. So we can actually use that to eliminate the intervention and bring efficiency into our system. But we have to be bold and make that radical move to be able to do that. But in order to do that as well, we need to pay attention to what infrastructure we have existing. The people that we have, are they ready to be able to take that on? Our processes, is it right? If our processes are not right, we will only be doing the wrong things only faster. So make sure the processes are also right. And then at that point, the technology can take us to the direction we want to go.
Okay. Dr. Amo, 30 seconds.
We are closing. Since Honorable Sister, Senior Minister is here, policy is important. So I want to offer this to the Honorable Minister. In trying to create agriculture and manufacturing as a vehicle for creating jobs, domestic satisfaction of the goods we need, and play in the export market, the business community needs certain things. One, protectionism. We tend to be scared to talk about it. But here again, I go to the economic history of developed nations. China didn't join the WTO until about 25 years ago. Now China is championing free trade because they have something to sell. As the Honorable Minister said, to export, you must have something to export. So in creating domestic strength, we need to give protection to our fledgling domestic companies, industries. Alexander Hamilton, the first Secretary of Treasury of the United States, made a passionate appeal and told the Americans, if you allow foreigners to bring their goods in here, we are dead. And they built tariff walls, 40 to 45%. I am not proposing the same, but we can be selective in the areas that we apply protectionism. There is no reason why we should import in chicken. Nigeria has banned the importation of chicken. So I want to propose to the Honorable Minister that we need to apply the process of protectionism in selected areas to help build domestic strength.
Thank you. And final thoughts.
Secondly, subsidies. Ghanaian companies need subsidies, just as it happens everywhere in any country that has developed in their initial stages. They need low-cost funds. These are areas that only government can offer. And therefore, the slogan of the private sector is the engine of growth must begin to change to be manifested in its reality with the support system that it requires for the private sector to really become the engine of growth.
Thank you. All right, Natalia Koliadina, your final thoughts.
Thank you very much. I think it is very important for the government to create the right opportunities for the private sector development. And we welcome the focus of this government to promote private sector development. What could be done? First, macroeconomic stability, which would build confidence of government policies, not only here in Ghana, but across the globe. It would help bring finance, it would help bring foreign direct investment, it would bring new businesses, and it would bring also new job opportunities. I would like to say a few words about the importance of IT. It is very important. It is very important for building confidence in the government policies, government data. IT could help disseminate and produce the better quality data and disseminate it in a timely manner regularly. This would boost confidence in government here in Ghana and also across the world. Next, the government has plans to implement the national ID card and also electronic databases. It is also very important for having some databases, reliable databases, which would help generate information about those people who would like to get credit, who would like to get finance. It could also help reduce the cost of finance and improve access to finance. Thank you.
Thank you very much. And as we wrap up, I think for me, the watchwords have been that process is critical, proficiency, and also prioritizing the things that we really need to do. And of course, let's not forget it's important that we embrace technology. Thank you very much, Natalia Koliadina with the IMF. country representative of the IMF, Dr. Kofi Amwa, and also Martin Atafin with Deloitte, also Mr. Kweku Kwarteng, who is Deputy Minister of Finance, Mr. Henry Oro, MD Zenith Bank, and Mr. Awal, who is the Minister for Business Development. Thank you all very much.